Howdy, howdy, howdy. My name's Anachi Sasuke, and welcome back to Let's Read the SP Foundation Wiki. I was initially not going to do intros or outros for these since they're going to be one entry apiece, but the entries could still be really long, and also not doing an intro means I don't actually get to say what they're called. So, today we're going to be reading 1400, and that is Sirens. I probably still won't do the outro, though. Okay, so it's Euclid class. SCP-1400 is to be kept in an individual soundproofed cell adjacent to a standard humanoid containment suite, which is to contain the current SCP-1400-A. This cell and suite are to be located in the geometric center of a 55 by 55 by 10 meter containment cell. No microphones or audio recorders of any kind are to be installed in any of these cells. Cameras are installed in each corner of the containment cell in order to track the direction in which its head is facing. In the event that 1400 faces any direction other than towards the current A, monitoring personnel are to note the new direction immediately and dispatch a mobile task force in that direction to identify and capture the new 1400A. The previous A may be disposed of as per normal Foundation protocols. As SCP-1400 does not require sustenance, no personnel are to enter its cell except during site-wide emergencies. To this end, the door to its cell is to be secured by a keycard lock accessible only by the Level 4 supervisor overseeing SCP-1400. In the unlikely event that entry to the cell is required, all personnel involved must wear earplugs and noise-canceling headphones. Should any personnel display an unusual degree of interest in touching SCP-1400, they are to be immediately removed from its presence and administered Class G short-term amnestics in order to mitigate its effect. Description: SCP-1400 is a humanoid Caucasian male of indeterminate age and average build, nude except for a black FM-50 gas mask with opaque smoked lenses. It is wholly intangible to all human beings except its current instance of A. The entity speaks constantly, although its vocalizations are always muffled by its mask to the point of indecipherability. Although apparently capable of normal locomotion, it tends instead to move by a poorly characterized form of instantaneous translocation. The range of this movement is restricted to a radius of approximately 50 meters surrounding A. 1400's voluntary activities consist entirely, so far as can be inferred, of observation. It selects a target, designated A, which is invariably a human Caucasian male of similar build and appearance to 1400. It does not target blind individuals or those affected by visual anomalies such as 1078s. Selection may be inferred by 1400's movement. Upon selecting A, it takes up a position within 20 meters of this target and begins to watch it. Though the position of its eyes cannot be observed through its mask, the motions of its head track A's movements quite closely. It follows its target's movements regardless of line of sight. Barriers up to and including 5 cm lead plating do not impede accurate tracking. Although SCP-1400 attempts to hide from its target, it does so ineffectively. A typically discovers it within 1 week of selection. Subject reactions vary, although most tend towards fear and distrust, as is typical for persons confronted with the reality of constant surveillance. In the medium to long term, most instances of A develop paranoid tendencies. Again, this is psychologically typical. The only anomalous component of A's behavior is an extreme and universal revulsion at the idea of seeing 1400's face. SCP-1400's vocalizations are an active cognitohazard. Approximately 75% of persons exposed to these sounds report a strong desire to remove 1400's mask and are designated B. Stated reasons vary with the listener's personality and motives. Some claim to want to hear its words clearly, some want to prevent it from suffocating inside the mask, some want revenge on it for frightening them, etc. No instance of B has ever cited a desire to see its face. A is immune to this cognitohazard by virtue of being completely selectively deaf to the vocalizations. Interestingly, A is also the only human being capable of making physical contact with 1400. When an instance of B discovers this fact, it invariably attempts to make A remove the mask. These attempts scale quickly from polite persuasion to threats of violence, eventually culminating in physical altercations. A will resist removing the mask by all means available. Instances have repeatedly been killed by groups of B without removing the mask. The current A has withstood all means of non-anomalous enhanced interrogation available to the Foundation, and still refuses to interact with 1400 even for testing. Incident 1400 Cumberland. On a day at some point. In order to study the social dynamics of groups of B in the absence of A, 25 disposable dudes were introduced into SCP-1400's containment cell. At 1 hour 17 minutes into the experiment, 1400 suddenly redirected its attention to one of the subjects. The other instances of B immediately surrounded and subdued the new instance of A and forced his hands to lift the mask. Several instances of B had unintentionally interposed themselves between the monitoring cameras and the front of 1400's head, so there is no visual record of its unmasked face. However, all members of B who saw its face immediately recoiled. Once SCP-1400's mask was completely removed, the entity rapidly melted into a dark liquid consisting of water adulterated with large amounts of heavy metals, phosphates, and human waste. Simultaneously, A put on the mask and translocated out of his clothes in the same manner as 1400, appearing on the other side of the outer containment chamber. He is now designated SCP-1400-1. Addendum 1. As if there's any other addendums. Recent unconfirmed reports suggest the existence of other entities resembling SCP-1400. All are described as humanoid figures, nude except for a mask that is opaque over the face and eyes. The instances thus far described have been provisionally designated as follows. 1402, an obese African male with heavy keloid scarring on the forearms wearing a Guy Fawkes mask. 3, an elderly Asian female wearing a medieval crusader's helmet. 4, an underweight male Pacific Islander with extensive, possibly Moko tattoos, wearing the head of a Chinese parade lion. And 5, a male Latino with large breast implants wearing the helmet of a Apollo Block 1 A1C spacesuit. Okay. So, for the most part, it sounds like this particular SCP probably can't be neutralized, because if they were to try to neutralize it, it would just reappear elsewhere. It's entirely possible that the reason that there's 4 more of them is because somebody at some point succeeded, and this isn't what 1400 even used to be. Or also possibly that there's just one for every nationality. I don't know. But that's going to do it for SCP-1400, and I'll see y'all in the next one.